This doesn't happen every day. Royalty doesn't dawn your doorstep on the regular. But this go round, as my pops used to say, or every now and then, the sun shines on a dog's behind too. Well, you looking at that dog this go round, man. Giving us some FaceTime. She is the queen of Rap City. Her journey is one of vision, passion, and triumph. She can do it all. Perhaps you know her work best on projects like VH1's The Breaks. When you were watching Key Sweat, you didn't even know you were watching her work, right? She's worked with some of the most iconic figures in the history of music and entertainment, the likes of Michael Jackson, LL Cool J, Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, Guy Salt and Pepper, Mary J. Blige. The list is too long to name, but you get the picture though. Fellas, I know, man, I'm not trying to rub it in, but she is the queen of Rap City. Living legend, Leslie Big Les Segar. What's happening, queen?
Yo, I can't even tell you, that is the best intro I have ever had. And really, I forgot half the stuff that I did on my resume until you just said it. Like, I did all of that? Like, for real? Oh, snap. Hi, Alton. He's my best friend, and I love him. I've known him forever and ever and ever. Hi, honey.
Well, look, you look better than ever. Some would say you found the secret to the fountain of youth. Look, I don't even know if that's a fair way to describe it. If it's a secret, we're trying to unlock that nonetheless. But man, how have you been? I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag, by the way. You know, normally we do, you know, when we have the privilege of being with so-called A-list talent and icons and living legends, all that kind of stuff, right? There's a certain protocol of sorts that you try to adhere to be respectful of that other party, right? But full disclosure, this is also a special exclusive one-on-one on FaceTime because the queen is celebrating her birthday, so there's a whole lot going on right here, right? The glow is official for a reason, right? Of course, she's undeniably beautiful, but that touch of extra that you're looking at, it's the birthday, happy birthday.
Hear all of that today, feel all of that love and specialty, I think. Thank you so much.
So man, listen, let's go back to the shorty days, Jackson Heights, Queens, you know, everything that you've accomplished professionally and as an artist. Folks around the world have their own relationship with you in that regard, but the person, peeling back the layers, when we go back to the shorty days in Queens, what was life like at home for you? Mom, pops, the family, you know, cousins in the Bronx. What was your life in the early days as a child?
Well, grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and of course, the parents, we start together. It's me, my sister, mom, and dad in a single-family home in East Elmhurst, and then the parents separate, but we only really moved like 4 blocks away, and still have a relationship with my dad, so it's not like, you know, never saw him all the time. And for me, I'm that girl who loved school. I was a tomboy and I loved school. So I really I got attendance awards because I never missed any days, which is crazy. And, you know, climbed trees with all the kids in the neighborhood, but I was also that girl who was like doing backflips in the park and on mattresses and, you know, breaking stuff in the house, which is how I got into gymnastics. My mother's like, oh my God, you got to get out of the house. You got to. I was a Girl Scout. I was like a brownie, a junior, a cadet. So that's like 7 years. You're like, what, you're a Girl Scout? I was in all honors classes starting from 3rd grade all the way through to high school. So I was with the same people for the majority of the time. And that's like a gift and a curse because there's really like 5 black people who are like in honors classes. So then you have those people who are like looking at you sideways who are not in the honors classes, where you get to go on all these special class trips and do all the special things that honors classes do. And then sometimes they want to test you. Oh, you think you cute. Oh, you whatever. And East Elmhurst, like I said, is a middle class. And then like the hood begins literally 2 blocks. And so when my parents got divorced, I moved into Jackson Heights, which is another 2 blocks. But really, it's just a mixed neighborhood. And it's still middle class. But because there's more white people on that side, people start to treat you a little different. Oh, you think you in honors and now you in another neighborhood. And it's just like, I can't get a break. Right. You know, and then the dance started to reveal itself. The gymnastics started to reveal itself because I was always on a private team. So I maybe took 1 or 2 dance classes in high school, and then the gymnastic coach found out that I was like ranked and doing all this other stuff. Like, please come compete for our high school. And my other coach was like, listen, the equipment is, and bleep me if you have to, the equipment is messy, and you're going to hurt yourself. I was like, just let me do this 1 year. Just do this 1 year. So I did compete for 1 year and won the New York City Apple Games, which was the best feeling ever. Like, that's the whole region of New York State. And but that was it. I had to stop and just go right back to my private team. So, but that was me as a shorty. I was like out breaking curfew on the handball court. The street lamp and all that other stuff was a thing then. Like, it was really real. Like, if the lights came on the street, you better be home because mom's cooking dinner, or she's, ready to beat your butt. I was a latchkey child because mom had 2 and 3 jobs and, all of that stuff. So you kind of self-sufficient. But that's how New York City kids are anyway. You're taking the bus and the train at 10. You know how to cook and stuff for yourself, and you kind of get stuff done. So that's kind of me as a shorty.
Did you attend PS 148? Does that sound at any time?
Okay, Inspector Gadget. I went to PS 148, PS 127, PS or IS 145, and then Newtown High School. Yes, I am a public school girl.
Okay, the PS 48 days, right? 2nd grade, Mrs. Breyer. Does that sound?
Oh my God.
Does that sound? Okay. 2nd grade, PS 148, Mrs. Breyer's class. You have a classmate, sister named Thalia. Her mother was friends with Sister Les's mom, and she recalls how beautiful she always thought your mother was and how much she admired just watching her mom and your mom whenever they would see each other away from school. Mm-hmm. Just when you're little and you admire, where you come from, your moms, etc. And so when you think of those days, right, the support system dynamic of what positioned you to go on to the Flushing YMCA, do your thing as a gymnast, the influence of mom and your home support system, like how vital was that for you at such an early age?
First of all, it was ultimately vital. I come from a family of predominantly women. So really, it was just like my dad standalone, and it's my grandmother, and it was all my aunts, 3 and 4 aunts, and my mom, and so my cousins were all predominantly females, except for 2 guys, all cousins, all females. But they were all strong, independent women who, of course, started off married and then ended up being single parents, and that you see the strength alone. You get those lessons from your mother. Don't ever be out in the street where you don't have money in your pocket. Don't depend on a man for anything. Make all of that stuff. And you kind of like it. Almost they scare you into your independence. But it's a beautiful thing. It's actually later on in life, though. I always use this term. It's a gift and a curse, because then you become so independent that men that first find it attractive, and then they say, "Oh, you don't need me for anything." When, of course, you can buy me a bigger house or a bigger car. I need you mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, But don't you want someone like me to raise our daughter? Like, don't you want her to be self-sufficient as opposed to needy and helpless? So it's always that dichotomy that kind of happens from the things that you learn from, your mother teaching you how to be independent and be strong. I'm just glad that I had a mother who saw that gymnastics was the thing that fed my soul. And of course, she never thought it would take me into dance and traveling around the world or making money. She still doesn't think that. Even to this day, no matter how many tours, videos, whatever the case is, she's still like, when are you going back to get your master's? And that's the thing that killed her is I got a full scholarship, but I also got into a 5-year master's program at Springfield College for physical therapy. You can only compete in NCAA for 4 years. So year 4, I'm looking at Paula Abdul videos, Janet Jackson videos, like I'm out, I can't, and so I opted out that last year, which of course now I regret, but I don't. She's just like, so you sure you don't want to go back to school? I'm like, oh my God, shoot me now. No, so.
Those college days, man, you were wrecking shop, though. I mean, the modesty, the humility, Division II All-American gymnast, Springfield College. you academically, you stayed focused, and as you were continuing to excel as an athlete, man, that dual major of, physiology and your sports medicine work, minoring in theater arts, doing it all, right? All of that really seemed to serve as a strong foundation for you to take into that love and desire you had to act upon what you really saw yourself doing. Like, look, Jodie Watley is killing it. Paula Abdul is killing it. Vanessa Williams is still dancing at this time. So you were taking, though, quite a bit of substance with you from an academic perspective, and growing up on the streets of New York in a particular way. Like, you really had all of the tools to have a solid shot, even though there wasn't necessarily a blueprint for you when you started to try and navigate a way for yourself.
No, there definitely was no blueprint. Even backing up a little further, my first choice school was Penn State, because I wanted to be a Nittany Lion gymnast. They were Division I, and I actually got into the school, and I actually got a partial scholarship. I got a academic scholarship and a partial gymnastics scholarship. They told me, though, I wasn't strong enough as an all-around. I would have had to sit out the year just until my bar routine got a little stronger. But you hear sit out and you're like, oh my God, no, what do you mean? So I definitely went to Springfield College, which was my second choice. Yeah, there is no blueprint, but you're sitting there and you're hungry. And of course, the internet wasn't around then. Like, you didn't have that access at your fingertips. So when watching music videos, I would always look at MCA Records, Elektra Records. Let me call 411, get the phone number. Okay, who's in charge of videos? Oh, let me put you to the video department or the artist development department. Okay, so who's casting? How does that work? Well, we're having an audition. Talk to this casting director or this, and you get information that way. And then, of course, being a New York City club kid, everybody in New York in the clubs hung out, whether it was LL, Wyclef, Busta Rhymes, whoever. There was either open mic or there was a cipher circle of dancers. And, people see you, and the artists always hung out, so they'd be like, yo, I need you in my video. Yo, I need you to come, you know what I mean? So it was that kind of thing, and you always wanted to make sure that you were in the mix and in the spotlight of the club. And I was that chick who was in the club literally 6 days a week. Seriously. And when I first got out of college, I worked for Sports Training Institute. And so I was able to shower and shave coming from the club there, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, open the gym at 6, and then go take a nap and then hit the clubs again. And that was kind of it. I was like, life was so simple then. Oh my God. I miss those days, because you just wanted to dance by the speaker, put a little baby powder on the floor, battle the guys. And I was that girl, I did better gymnastics than the guys doing flips. And because mine was refined too. So I was stick, dun, dun, like a floor routine. And they'd be like, yo, who's that? Because nobody believes that a black girl, 5'6", 150 pounds, could even do a cartwheel. And so here I am, double twisting, double backs, or whatever it is. And, that's the thing that kind of took me to higher heights. It was like I was an anomaly then. Now we see more black gymnasts all over the place, but they're still up to my chest. I'm still taller than most,
As you were saying that, there's a classic photo of the Queen, Sister Les, with Olympic champion and gold medalist Simone Biles, to get a sense of what she's talking about as it relates to being 5'6", 150 ballpark, right, versus what's considered a prototypical gymnast's height and weight. When you see this photo, just Google it, Simone Biles, Leslie Segar, right, and it is beautiful and humorous all at once, man.
She looks like my daughter, and she is breast height, and it looks crazy. Do gymnastics, you play basketball, and 5'6" is not even tall. I'm average height. Right. You would think I was 5'10" or 6 feet standing next to her, but she's just, under 5 feet, and that's how most typical gymnasts look.
You bucking tradition, right? We consider a series of pivotal moments that lead to this thing that oftentimes we consider a big break, right? 1990 comes to mind. Full Force, you're cheerleading, celebrity basketball game, Kiss FM, New York, and you get a chance during a little solo jump off. You do what you do, combining your athleticism and gymnastic prowess to your dancing. but it's what happens after your solo display that one could say, okay, this is like in that big break ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was actually 89, and because I was able to walk for college, but I still had to do some internship stuff for credits during my summer year. And I had never been a cheerleader ever, never even wanted to be a cheerleader. I actually kind of looked down on cheerleaders, except for like the Southern cheerleaders. You know, my name is Leslie. I'm Sagittarius, you know, except the Royals who has them sold. But they had this audition that was in what was called a magazine called Backstage, where all the auditions were. And so, of course, that's what was our Bible, where you just show up to audition, whether it was an off-Broadway play or whatever. And that's where their ad was. And I show up, and they were like, hell yeah, we want you. And here we are at City College in this big gymnasium, and they give me an opportunity to do backflips across the room. And literally by the time that I landed, I probably must have done like 3 to 5 back handsprings in a tuck or a layout or something. And I have business cards. Like, I need you in my video. I want you, whatever the case is. And that was like the golden ticket. Like, you call people on their business cards on a landline, like, this is me, you met me at the whatever, come to my office, blah, blah, blah. And that was the universe, man. That was the universe that just changed my life. I still talk to Bow-Legged Lou all the time. He's one of my best friends, too. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Bow-Legged Lou, one of the kindest cats in the game, living legend status, man. That opportunity, and you were saying 89, so that transition from the late 80s into the 90s, which is experiencing like this unbelievable rebirth of the love for everything 90s right now, that for you start to enter this phase of, in the literal sense, defining the culture in a way, because hip hop is in its infancy during this time. I mean, still in the incubator stages of working its way to this global phenomenon, right? So when we look at 89, 90, 91, you go on a tear. The Round the Way Girl video with LL Cool J, the touring with Keith Sweat, who wasn't exactly your favorite music cat, but you out there grinding with it.
He knows me so well.
You know that. But when you go and you connect the dots with everything that, again, 89 springboarding, and then 90, your first music video with LL, and then somebody like a Keith Sweat, who's that R&B hip hop sensibility, but it's still R&B. The guys and you know, the Salt and Peppers of the world, where you really hop into hyper transition mode during this time.
It's so crazy just even hearing you talk about all of these things, because honestly, when you're working, you're so busy looking for the next gig and praying for the next gig that you're kind of like not even enjoying the moment. And in between, like just before I got Keith Sweat, I was working on an off-Broadway play called Club 12. Myself, Wyclef, Lauren joined the play later on, and I think MC Light. And it was a remake of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. And literally from that, Atlantic Records had gotten involved, and I started dancing for a house music artist by Jay Williams, and house music was big then. And he had a song called Sweat, and I became one of his dancers. And we toured, like, it took me all over the place. And that was a major springboard that then the LL stuff started to happen, or the Keith Sweat audition started to happen. And I cried like a baby because I had finally gotten a job, you know, out of college. I'm living at my mother's house, God help me, who's just like, you got 4 more months, you know. And God forbid I say, well, I'm quitting this job to go on tour. Right. There's no guarantees. There was no such thing as a contract, you know. But the thing that was happening, too, is that BBD was also on that tour, and they had their girls straight ahead. And Keith would always be like, you just better be dancing. I want you to kick their asses every night, you know, and excuse my language, but that's, you know, how it talks. We're grown folks here. And so the pressure was on. But here I am crying like, oh, my God, I finally got this job. I'm going to have to leave. So I asked for a leave of absence. I didn't even know that existed. And they gave it to me, and I never had to go back because artists would go to the concerts. I'd see Guy or Heavy D or whatever in the hallways, and they'd be like, you got to be in my video. I want you to dance on my tour. And it just kind of started to propel like that. And, you know, the transition that was major for me was going from dancer to choreographer. I worked with a lot of choreographers at the time, Peekaboo, Donovan. And I remember Donovan would always get to rehearsal and be like, all right, guys, so I need an 8 count of this and an 8 count of that. Wait, what? Why are we doing the work? And at first I thought that's kind of how it worked, or that's how all choreographers worked. And that wasn't the case. And so because I was always a featured dancer in the front, people be like, yeah, you choreographed that. And I'd just be like, why, you got a project that you need me to choreograph? I would never say I did. I wouldn't claim anybody else's work. But since you assumed it, and I knew I had the skill because I would choreograph floor routines from gymnastics, that I could put 2 and 2 together. And that's really how I made the transition into choreography. And then I realized the money was a whole lot more, and it was just like, oh, what? And I'm the boss? And I could still be in front if I want to? Oh, I get to pick my own position? And that's kind of what it was. And Puffy gave me a really big opportunity with Mary J. Blige. I've known Puff since he was a dancer battling with us in the clubs and stuff. I don't know him from the Howard side. I know him from like the uptown music side and as a dancer. And he would always be like, Les, I want some rough, rugged, and raw. Give me that New York gritty, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put Mary in your hands. She's the bomb, blah, blah, blah. Let's go. Okay, those were the notes. Let's do it. Combats on, knee pads on. Me and Mary were kicking it. She's feeling like my kin, like we are the same person in different bodies from Yonkers to Queens. And we just mesh and gel. And really all of that inspiration is just kind of like using who Mary is to put it to music. Because all of that right there is Mary, and that's just kind of like how the homegirls are, how the around the way girls are with our, our bamboo earrings and our lollipops and popping our gum and nodding our heads and feeling that's us on the side of the basketball court watching the men in their wife beaters and Timbs. Like that's us, that's Mary, and that was hip hop, and that's kind of how we flow with music. And because girls then were athletic, they weren't trying to be so cute or whatever cases. We were like dancers who were like getting down on the floor and sliding between legs and diving over guys and all that stuff, and that's what people wanted to see. They wanted to see a show.
Yeah, that time was so critical for Mary's establishment as, now that household description, right? Everybody who loves R&B, hip hop music, this moniker of the queen of hip hop soul. Now it's just kind of a natural fact. If you love hip hop, you love R&B, Mary shows up. It just seems like she was always here. Mm-hmm. However, when we peel back the layers of hip hop music history, rap music history, R&B that everybody within the culture loves, right? Mary, until under that Diddy Uptown umbrella, until she showed up, there really wasn't anybody in that lane because it didn't exist. So to go with a package where there's some dancing with it, somebody had to craft, and this is, I think, to Diddy's genius doing what he does best. This whole, like, what does a producer do? Like, what is it? Right. Okay, this is like, whether you like Diddy or not, right? Take a moment and just think. Diddy had the sense to go, yo, Les, I need you to whoop, whoop, whoop and get Mary out there. We need her to look like this. And then he sets you free to do that. As a result, music history is made, and the very style of street dancing that you see now, our white brothers and sisters go to formal dance studios to learn what the foundation of what they were doing back when Mary's career first started, man. So we say all of that to say this. You go from the Mary days, you grinding, you hustling. What comes to you now, Sister Les, when we consider like the Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown days, because you were on the inside of so much?
What's crazy how Bobby happened was, again, talking about how Puffy grabbed me to kind of shape Mary. Well, John Singleton, after we did Remember the Time, grabbed me, Fatima, Josie, and Tish to move in with Janet, because we didn't know that the poetic justice was on the way and that he needed to put her around people that were in the element of his movie. And that was us, homegirls, roundaway girls, keeping it real, talking about sex, talking about men, talking about whatever, nails, hair, popping gum, as you know. And we lived with Janet for about, Fatima and I probably stayed about 4 or 5 months. And we weren't getting paid. We weren't working. We were just getting up, dancing, lived in Malibu at the house. Nike sent some stuff over. We'd be going to the clubs, chilling with Janet. And then it was like, oh, my car note's due. Oh, my apartment is due. Okay. She wasn't ready to go on tour yet. And so we thought, all right, let's go get this other work and we'll come back to Janet. The other work happened to be Bobby Brown. We get the call. We find out about the audition. Fatima had worked with Bobby before. I want you girls on my thing. Like, okay, we're going to work with you for a minute, do a video, do whatever case. We're going to be ready back for Janet for tour. Well, Janet wasn't having it. I think the minute we left, it was kind of like, see you later. And we're still friends. We're still girls, but nobody put you on contracts or retainers then. You got to eat. As much as you want to hang around Madonna and Michael, it's like, okay, I need my lights to stay on. And so that's how Bobby Brown came into my life. And Bobby gravitated to us because it was like we were his sisters, you know? And he just, as reckless and crazy and wild as Bobby is and was, whether it was the drinking, whatever, he would show up to rehearsal. He'd be late to rehearsal. But he's so talented and so gifted that he would pick up the choreography like that. He'd be late, 2 hours late, and be like, all right, let me see it. And 5, 6, 7. And we'd be like, wait, what? That took us 2 hours. What do you say? You know, and, you know, we were there at the wedding and Whitney came into our lives and you guys saw the very elegant Whitney, and I saw and got to know Whitney from Newark, you know, who was like Leslie from Queens. We're looking in the mirror at each other, and she was just like, she kept it real funky fresh the whole time. And we all just like were one big happy family. And that tour of, you know, Bobby Brown, it was Bobby's Back tour, Humping Around and Getaway and all that stuff was just a lot. It was an eye-opening experience, as every tour is, with the people you meet, you know, the bonds and the relationships. You spending hours and hours and days, not just in rehearsal, but on a tour bus, looking crusty and crazy, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of Idaho, going to Wyoming. And, you know, you end up having that bond and stuff there, and you see things that, you know, you would either never talk about or you share with the public, you know. But it was a pivotal time for me because I was always a fan. You know, and so to be working with somebody that you respected and loved and they embrace you is just kind of like, you know, that happened to me a million times. That dreams come true. What? I'm working with Heavy D? Wait, what? I love it. Like, I love the Bum Diddley. Like, wait, Whitney, I'm Every Woman. You want me in of it? And then Shaka Khan rolls up on set. Like, you can't pinch me. I'm still, like, even just saying it because you forget. But these are just, the universe gifted me, and I'm just, you know, I'm a fan first and then a talent second, you know, of hip hop, of the business, of entertaining, of these people who are truly talented and gifted. So, yeah, it's been a blessing. Did I answer your question? Because I don't even know what I was talking about.
Hey, man, it's, you know, the history is so extraordinary, man. The relationship between the likes of Diddy, Bobby Brown, the Whitney Houstons, Janet Jackson, that their brilliance from one brilliant figure after another, man. They all have you in common, man. So listen, stick and stay, don't move. This is an exclusive, man. There's only one Leslie Big Les Segar. This is FaceTime with Alton. It's a birthday celebration, man. Woo, woo, woo. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. If I could rap, I would drop some bars, but I ain't got none, so that's it. Sister Les.
What's up, everybody? It's that girl who dances on the beginning of Living Single. It's me, Leslie Big Les Segar. And listen, a genie dropped by his little bottle, and I made a wish. The wish is for Alton to give me a little FaceTime. Come on, Alton. Rubbing right here. Can I get on? Me and you? FaceTime? Let's do it.